You ever look at porn on your cell phone? Super convenient.
Oh my!
Dress what?
No, because I didn't even know this until John told me. But dude, Philip totally commented on our last upload to YouTube.
Oh, it did?
Some fire comments as well.
Yeah,
I didn't see it.
I think he's helping us with some art as well.
All right.
I told him to put 3 roosters, around a table or something for the logo.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I told him to not put 3 cocks around a table though, because that would not be good.
No, what an Andy.
Yeah, I like that. He said he could render penises pretty well though, but I was like, I don't know about that, dude.
I like that creative concept, Andy.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah, like a Rooster playing poker or something. But okay, so this is episode 8 of the Rooster Show. You got my boy, the meme enthusiast, the meme expert, Andy San. And then you got fucking John, computer scientist aficionado, working on the Skynet over in his super secret lab.
What's up, doggy?
And then, of course, you got myself, the always sometimes on time Adrian. And today we are going to be talking about a few things. I actually have breaking news. A year ago, Robert Francis O'Rourke told the world and lied and said he was not running for president. We all knew that was a lie because nothing he says is truth, in fact.
Did he say that, though? Or did he just brush off?
No, he said it.
He said he wasn't going to?
He said, hey, look at me, guys. I'm about to lie to you. I'm not running for president next year.
Well, I do remember actually during the campaign, he was saying, like, basically his argument was Ted Cruz is going to abandon Texas and go run for president, and he's going to be on this campaign trail ignoring Texas, and I'm not. So that's why you should vote for me for senator, because he's going to focus on Texas. So he did definitely say that for sure.
No, there's like a 60 Minutes like interview or something, and he asked like, win or lose the seat for Texas, are you going to run for president? Like, are you thinking about it? He's like, no, win or lose, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And boom.
He gets caught drunk driving, hits a truck head on, and then he gets his dad, who is the next judge for El Paso, to just ride off that little joyride of his.
Is that fiction or what is that?
It's just history. It's just what happened.
Really? So when did that happen?
1998.
98, huh? So
during Bill Clinton's presidency.
Like 40? So
46.
That was when he was 20.
Yeah, about 22.
Well, like our age, I guess.
Yeah. He also, well, I'm going to get into this. Some of the notes I took for Robert Francis thing, but I'm just going to outline. So we want to go over Robert Francis in his bid for presidency, what we think the outcome might be. Will he win it? Will he not? Why? Then we're going to go to the What a Guy segment. I got a pretty good What a Guy. Happens to be a guy. And we'll talk more about that. And then that's really all I got. I don't know if you got anything prepped.
I got some.
What do you got?
Let it get there, dude. When we get there.
Oh my God. Okay. So, all right, I'm gonna introduce the Robert Francis running for president, representing the greatest state to ever grace the world with his presence, Texas. It's a damn shame. Robert Francis, greatest country in the world. My mistake. It's a damn shame that Robert Francis has to represent us fine Texans in the Democrat primary. But woe is me. It is what it is. Let's see. I was following a gentleman by the name of Ruben Navarrete Jr. He's a columnist. He's a contributor, actually, to lots of periodicals across the nation, and I just pulled up a couple of I think some op-eds that he wrote. He wrote one for the USA Today, not but a couple days ago. He wrote another one for the Houston Chronicle, also not but a couple days ago. These are probably all within the past week. And Ruben Navarrete Jr. is not a conservative, a constitutional conservative by any stretch of the imagination.
What's he writing? What's he write for? Newspaper?
Well, he just, I think he works for a think tank. I'm not sure which one, but he contributes to a bunch of other news. You know what I mean? He just contributes to newspapers. So not unlike the TPPF, all those guys work for the TPPF, but they contribute to like the Houston Chronicle, the Dallas Chronicle, pretty much any periodical that's willing to pick up the writing and publish it. And so that's what this Ruben Navarrete does. He is a warrior for social justice, meaning he is a beta male. But all that aside, he had some pretty good points on Robert Francis. And when I find myself agreeing with beta males who absolutely know nothing about how the world works, we are living in weird times. So in USA Today, he wrote his article just basically tearing down Robert Francis, telling the audience that Robert Francis is basically relying on the appropriation of Hispanic culture to poise himself as an intersectional candidate, and he has to do this because he is a possibly straight, for sure white male, which is a handicap in today's Democrat primary. And he also
is that a long way of saying he's pretending to be Mexican?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
try to keep up.
Okay. He also he also goes to the little nickname Beto, right? So apparently Beto, little Betito, was coined by his father, who also ran for office and failed. Actually, I guess that runs in the family. In like the 80s, he ran for judge as a Republican. Let us not forget, Robert Francis is a straight white male, possibly straight, definitely white male, who was a Republican at one time. Or is
married though?
I mean, okay, that's like a good
like how much straighter can you get?
But is that true though about his father? I always heard it was from his like nanny.
Nope. And to that point, his nanny. Next point. No. His dad actually, in an interview dug up years ago, Robert Navarrete actually, he what do you call it? He references this like an article that was written, or some kind of interview that was done with Pat O'Rourke, his father, Patrick O'Rourke. And when he asked, like, why do they call this little kid, what do they call him, Beto? And he's like, well, in a mostly Hispanic or Mexican American constituency, if my son ever wants to run for some kind of office in El Paso, he's gonna be met with much less resistance if he can pander to the Hispanic vote there. And of course, I'm paraphrasing, but not in so many. Sorry.
You found an interview where his father said that?
Yep. And
I don't know about that.
And O'Rourke was specifically asked about this in his Senate campaign last year. And O'Rourke said something along the lines of, "Oh, my dad just had lots of foresight." So we can dig back. I'm just saying, go to the Houston Chronicle, go to USA Today. I'm not gonna fucking be all listing these sources meticulously.
That's the first time I hear that story.
Of course it is. Why would Robert Francis put any resources into making sure that people know he's pandering to his fucking constituents? He's doing the opposite. He's being put on Vanity Fair by like, who the hell reads Vanity Fair?
Yeah, well, honestly, there's going to be some amount of pandering, but when I saw his announcement speech there, it was a little too pandery for me. And I didn't really dislike him before, and I get that there's like pressure in what he's doing and the magnitude of like a presidential race, and he's going to try to really win. But it seems like he's just kind of being a little more disingenuous than is my taste. Like he said that stuff about slavery. Like,
Yeah. What the fuck?
where are you living? You know?
Yeah, right.
Either you're like, he's just pandering to people that think that's cute.
Oh,
absolutely,
yeah.
And,
absolutely.
He literally just listed out when he was saying all those things, just like a list of, inequality, rights, segregation, slavery. He literally just listed out a whole bunch of shit just to put it out there. Yeah, just to like get everyone on board. And it's like, what the fuck, dude? No, man.
It's not even to get everyone on board. It's because there's a faction of people who don't think very hard, and as long as you say this incantation to them about inequality or slavery, whatever it happens to be that year, they will follow you. So you just say the incantation, and that's what he's doing. I mean, it's just, to me, and a lot of people, I'm sure, see right through it. And he didn't do that as much before.
Yes,
I don't think he did that nearly as much before.
Oh, no.
He did.
I feel like the pandering is just going up a level.
Are you kidding
You know?
me? He was at the University of Texas last year on his campaign trail talking about how people get was it he might have been in Spider.
Yeah.
But he was at the University of Texas giving a speech to students, to gullible fucking Democrats. He made the assertion that all law enforcement are participate in profiling over upholding the law.
But also think like he was in the Texas race. He was really pulling back on that. He was really like when he was at UT, because he's at Austin, Texas. But in general, he had to really pull back on super leftist type statements and things, and that kind of pandering, because he knew he would just get this. He knew he was already going to get destroyed by non-urban counties of Texas. But now that he's not beholden to that, now he's just trying to win, the party line, right? So he can totally get off of that whole, restraint. He's not beholden to those like Texas counties anymore. He's probably going to lose Texas. I mean, if he does super well, he'd probably lose Texas.
He loses Texas. He lost all the border counties in Texas. Most of the border counties in Texas.
No,
in the primary.
And when I say that, I mean if he was the candidate, I think he would lose Texas. Like if he was in the presidential race,
I'm talking about
the primary.
In the Democrat primary before the general election, he lost the border counties to his other Democrat or to the other Democrat running. And
really?
People forget he only won by a slim margin. The Democrat nominee to even run against Ted Cruz and lose against Ted Cruz, who again is one of the most unlikable Republicans to ever grace this earth. Okay? All right. Now, before we go any further, just want to give a little bit more background on Robert Francis O'Rourke. He's an Irish-American, son of an El Paso County judge and county commissioner, Pat O'Rourke, his dad, who once told reporters he gave his son the nickname Beto because he thought it might help get votes if he entered politics in a border state like Texas. That is straight from the Houston Chronicle. All right. Let's see. What this
private still?
I'm sorry.
I'm really surprised that never came out because everyone was accusing him of that, and no one had any proof, and it was. Well, at least I didn't see it. Maybe it did come out. I didn't see it.
First of all, he's up the ante, dude. He's running for fucking president. All this is going to come out, and all this is going to be punctuated. And here's why. So the reason I brought up Ruben Navarrete Jr. is because he is a spokesman for the intersectional left, the very progressive wing, the ideologues surrounding progressivism. And what I'm seeing right now, there are two camps of folks who either support or don't support Robert Francis. And I'm not talking about Republicans or conservatives. I'm talking about quote unquote Democrats. Okay. There are the folk who are just really viscerally disengaged with President Trump and Ted Cruz. and so they're probably, I don't know, maybe some more moderate, and they're saying, yeah, O'Rourke, he's the guy we need in the middle. Okay, but then there's like the far left progressive guys like Ruben Navarrete, and I think he has a good finger on the pulse of these guys. And these are two separate op-eds where he writes. He uses the same language the left always uses, which is um, um, dividing things up against like racial lines and like victim hierarchies. And so some of the language that he uses in these op-eds were so that he uses to describe O'Rourke are basically using cultural appropriation, right? As a crutch for arrogant white liberals to say that they do trust voting for a Hispanic, so they'll vote for Beto, despite the fact that he's not Hispanic, because they wouldn't actually vote for Hispanic.
Yeah, you should send me that article from what's the guy's name? Navarrete.
Yep,
you should send me that.
Robert.
That's interesting.
Robert Frantz. I have it pulled up right here. I'll oh yeah. Okay, so what do you guys' thoughts? Does Robert Francis take the nomination for Democrat? Does he represent the Democrats against Donald Trump in 2020?
No.
Or not? And why?
I know. I feel like he doesn't pull that much support. I think a lot of people are going for more progressive people. Like I read an article the other day that was saying he's basically like almost destined not to win. Because I know a lot of like Bernie fans through like Twitter and stuff like that. They're like actually kind of shocked when Beto started like put out his campaign to run because they really want Bernie to win. That's what they really want. So they're, I don't know, they were like hypothesizing that maybe Beto's gonna go for like a VP position or like a cabinet position.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it would make sense because I mean, if you know you're not gonna win, you just lost the Senate race. He's probably literally just been sitting on the couch, jobless.
Yeah.
So
thing is, he's pretty good. He's a pretty good marketer, and the other people I see in there, they're pretty good marketers, are Bernie, obviously, because he was so successful last time, and then that guy Yang. I guess
no, not Yang.
Yeah, well, Yang's a good salesman. If you
no one
listen
knows
to him,
no one knows who Yang is.
no one knows who Yang is, but they're gonna know because this guy's gonna get out there. He understands marketing, and this is my prediction. I think that he's gonna get a lot of attention. He's gonna be in the middle of the podiums when they're doing the debate because he knows how to talk. He knows how to sell his ideas. And if you just look him up on YouTube and watch videos of him, you'll see what I mean. I mean, he's not like a super eloquent speaker like an Obama, but he knows how to sell.
Okay.
He knows what he's talking about. And that's what scares me about him because he really is convincing. He's the basic universal income guy. So I think that's a silly idea. But at the same time, you listen to him talk about it, and he's got all these facts and figures.
Yeah.
And plus, I think his thing was, I mean, he's a business guy in some capacity. I think he's an entrepreneur in some capacity. I forgot what his career was, but I really think he's going to hit the social media marketing just like Beto, and he's going to gain traction.
You talk about that marketing, man. I think Beto, like you said, is a really good salesman. And it's true, man, because I'm fucking seeing ads from him all day. Like the other day I saw one where he like got out of the car and was putting gas. He's like, I just put $28.30 of gas in my car. Here's where you can like click on the link to put another $28.30 to keep us going. And it's like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah, see, he is good like that. Like Beto understands that you need to like flood with content, and he just puts out content like no other. And he does a great job with that. A lot of people don't get that just having volume is important. But at the same time, Beto to me is getting kind of disingenuous, and I think that's going to communicate because, like, I don't like any of these people's ideas on this like blue side. Honestly, I think they're all dragged too far over to the left side. But
Yeah.
when I listen to Yang, he's convincing, and I like him. And when I listen to Bernie, I'm not convinced, but I like him. Like he's an incredibly lovable character. Like he's like a lovable American caricature.
Oh yeah, dude. Remember when we went to that rally at Stubbs or Emos or whatever?
You mean at Mohawks?
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah,
There's just so many fun-loving people that love him.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that was dope.
Who knows? She's kind of old though, which is kind of weird. But I mean,
kind of old.
Yeah,
he's not kind of old. He's super fucking old.
What is he, like 75 or something like that? Or?
Like 102, dude.
77.
He's 77. Yeah.
Okay.
Only like 6 years older than Trump.
Yeah, but Trump is orange. It
gets exponential when you're up there, bro.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would hope that we get a super old guy over a super young guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. This is okay. So minus the fact that the Robert Francis is disingenuous, and for whatever reason, there are like an onslaught of people who are just like they're always. It's like Beto or bust, or I guess maybe Beto or Bernie. But for the most part, he is a poor debater. He lost every debate against Ted Cruz. He's
I don't know about that.
He's a policy lightweight. Okay.
Yeah, the debates were pretty close, I thought, because Ted is also sweaty on the podium there.
Oh my dude. I mean, if you want to make that claim, go ahead. But as far as I'm concerned, as a lot of political pundits are concerned,
that guy is not calm, cool, and collect on the podium.
Yeah,
Ted fucking destroyed.
Oh my god! I don't know about destroyed.
Every single dude. I'm just.
Get off his dick, bro, please.
That's not just me saying it. That's fucking political analysts for the Texas Tribune, all unanimously agreeing.
Well, I guess say what they want.
And the Texas Tribune is pretty lefty.
When we were chatting about the Beto Ted debates, I'm pretty sure on Facebook Messenger we were chatting, and I'm pretty sure that we were talking about how it was pretty close.
You guys were talking about how it was pretty close, and I was thinking to myself, you guys need to stick to your fucking math and science because it wasn't close at all. All right, shit, that was close. Fucking in my ass and call me a cat or something like that.
Let's try. That was a good attempt at a Southern phrase.
Anywho, my broader point is he's a terrible debater. Whatever anyone thinks, he's just a bad debater. He also is a legislative lightweight. He had 3 2-year terms as a congressman for Texas. He passed 1 bill, and that was renaming a courthouse. He largely stayed away from the hotbed issues in Texas, especially for Texas Democrats, which is immigration.
Hold on now. I mean, if he passed only one thing, isn't that good? Like, don't we want limited government, less stuff going on? We want them not to do so much stuff. Like, I think that's good. I don't want them passing hell of a lot of bills.
No, I mean, okay. Well, at this point, I'm not trying to punctuate.
I'm just saying. I'm just hitting you with that contradiction, though.
No, it's not so much a contradiction. The contradiction would lie in if you pass a bill that that became law that somehow promulgated an individual's rights to insert freedom here. Sure, you're adding to quote unquote bureaucracy, but you're also strengthening the individual by proxy.
Yeah, sure. I mean, all I'm saying is that that's fine. Like, if there was something that could have been done that he should have done, but just purely saying that because you're not passing bills, like that's a bad metric. That's totally the wrong metric. Like, if someone was passing a lot of bills, I'd be like, what are all these bills? Like, is all this stuff necessary? That's what I would ask.
Well, sure.
As a conservative,
let's look at the bills, though. We can look to all his 1 bills and see that he had nothing.
Was it necessary?
He renamed a courthouse. Very unnecessary.
But wasn't one of Beto's like opposition to Ted Cruz was that he was at like half of the votes or less than half of the votes in Congress. Like he just fucking wasn't there at all.
I mean, I don't see what it's. This is to John's point about the laws. There's no reason a lot of times for the political heavyweights to be at a fucking vote to name a crosswalk or something like that.
Sure.
I mean, what the fuck am I paying for, bro?
That's what you reserved for the freshmen. You haze the freshmen and say, you guys need to go fucking vote on this bullshit so I can get work done.
I mean, what the fuck else is he doing?
Ted Cruz?
Running for president?
He's not running for president.
Oh, he was.
Oh, I mean,
I'm saying I'm saying that was a good point that Beto made. Like,
I guess
we're paying you to be a fucking senator of Texas. You're missing like half the fucking votes, like my dude.
Yeah. Well, we paid Robert Francis 3 terms, 6 years to pass one bill and skateboard all across fucking Whataburgers.
Bro, I'm just saying, skateboarding is fucking badass.
Nah, dude.
And that's one of the best things about him. But the whole like metric of how many things you pass, like that's just silly. Like it's like you said, if you needed to pass something to help someone's freedom or something, then yeah, I mean you need to judge it. Obviously, you need to judge it on the content.
But he didn't because there's no content to judge.
Well, if there's nothing that had to be done, then
there's plenty to be done. School, property taxes, school finance reform.
If there's plenty to be done,
I mean that's fair.
Right? There's so much that have been done that he didn't do.
I think probably that. I mean that's definitely fair. I just want to point out that the metric of how many things you pass is silliness. But I take your point. He's not really getting shit done when he really should have been.
Okay, and let me point out why. What was that? What was that, Andy?
No, we're good, dude. Go on, please.
Let me point out why this is important. Okay, so after Robert Francis graduated from Columbia, he went on to be a live-in babysitter for a family in the Upper West Side of Manhattan.
Well, who did that?
Robert Francis.
He was a babysitter. He was a nanny.
He was a live-in nanny for a family in the Upper West Side of Manhattan, which is like a very, very affluent part of Manhattan.
Interesting career move. Well, he would have to be affluent for them to have nannies.
Oh yeah, he also was an art mover for a period of time, and then he spent unemployment like most Americans do, which was traveling around the country with his punk rock band. So I see this as a huge problem for that marketing you guys are so fond of, as far as Beto is concerned, or Robert Francis rather, because for as much as Robert Francis is a good marketer, GOP super PACs and Democrat super PACs are just as good, if not a lot better, because they have more experience and more resources to dig up bullshit like this. And what they are going to do, namely the Democrats, namely the left, is use this as their end all. Robert Francis is not a black woman like Kamala Harris. Robert Francis is not even a Hispanic like Julian Castro in San Antonio.
That's the whole argument with the marketing is that, yeah, he might have all this stuff against him. They might have a lot of ammo against him, but it's about how you market it. If nobody knows, it doesn't matter. I see that point. My point is that it is going to matter, and it's going to be his demise. Well, it doesn't matter how substantive it is, like the stuff against him. It matters who's going to be the one that's going to bring it to market and get the message out. If there's nobody to do that, nobody's going to know. Like we're going to sit here and talk about it. Nobody's going to.
Dude, there's like 30 Democrats running. If each of them is going to take their little stabs at him, that's plenty.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, maybe.
But I mean, okay, going back to your stab of him being a nanny and him being an art mover, who cares?
Yeah, sounds eclectic.
How is that like a stab towards him? Like whenever I graduated, I literally did nothing that summer, and then I fucking I took down cubicles for like a week.
You're not running for president of the United States, Andy.
Yeah, but that doesn't disqualify you just
Yeah.
because you became a fucking nanny and an art mover. Because maybe that's what you wanted to do. You wanted to figure out life. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Honestly,
not a.
honestly, to me, it's a plus. Like, it sounds like he was trying to figure it out, and he was adventurous enough to go and tour with his band and
Yeah.
visit Manhattan and all this stuff without having a lot of money.
Oh,
And
I'm not telling you guys this because I think it's not a plus. I mean, I jumped from when I graduated from being basically an unpaid intern for state rep to being another unpaid intern for the conservative think tank. You know, I had to work part-time just so I could afford to be an unpaid intern. Now, I'm not saying this as a rip on him. I'm saying this as an observation that the far left is going to make, and they're going to assert that he doesn't have the same plight as an average divisive identity politics here. And the reason I'm saying this is because I'm referring to Ruben Navarrete's take on Robert Francis as an enigma. Dude, Ruben Navarrete, the dude has like a lot of really good points. And like I said, I agree with them. The points, not him, not his politics.
Yeah.
All these points are predicated on that divisive identity politics, and then the identity politics of 2019 going into the 2020 race. Robert Francis is at a large disadvantage.
So let me ask this: who do you guys think, when they do the debate with like 10 plus Democrats, who do you think they're going to put in the middle podiums? They put the most popular, like assuming they put the most popular people in the middle.
Yeah, Biden.
Biden.
He's not in yet, is he?
He will be. He dropped a little Easter egg in Idaho, I think.
Yeah.
All right.
So I got Biden, Kamala Harris, and Elizabeth Warren. They're going to put the women. Yeah. They're going to put the women, the blacks, and then the atheist Jew.
Bernie. Bernie's the atheist Jew.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're about right.
Well, I think it's gonna be a lot more people at the beginning. It's gonna be like a shit more.
Well, let's see. I'll read down the list. We got Booker. We got the South Bend guy. So this guy from South Bend, Indiana, Pete. I can't even say his last name. Pete Buttigieg or something like that. He's what makes him special is that he's openly gay. That's what it says here. There you got the guy from San Antonio, right? Castro.
Julian.
Yeah. Delaney from Maryland. Don't know him. Tulsi Gabbard from Hawaii. Don't know her. Kristen Gillibrand. Gillibrand?
Yeah,
is that right?
Gillibrand. Yeah.
Gillibrand from New York.
Mm-hmm.
Also unknown to me. Kamala Harris. She's getting attention.
Somewhat.
Hickenlooper from Colorado. The first thing it says about him is legalizing marijuana. I guess he helped to do that.
Super
what a guy.
What a guy.
What a fucking trash bag, dude.
He also passed a controversial bill for universal background checks after tragic mass shootings. Okay, so gun stuff too. Let's see, we still got like 10 more. Jay Inslee from Washington. Amy, people know this one. Amy Klobuchar. Okay, I've heard of her name, even though I don't know how to say it. I've heard of Amy. So she's probably still nobody. Then there's Beto, Bernie, Elizabeth Warren. This guy named Bill Weld. That's an R next to his name. Oh, that's the Republican guy.
Oh, that's that old
dude. He's the one I said I liked.
Yeah.
Anyways, and there's Williamson and Yang, and that's it. Looks like
for
now.
We can still just listen to 5 people that actually have a decent shot.
Yeah. Beto, Bernie, Warren.
I would put Bernie at the top of that list. I'd put Biden second, and I'd put Kamala Harris third, and then for the 4th and 5th spot, I think right now, and for the time being, for the next 6 months, 8 months, you're gonna have all these opinion polls show that Robert Francis has a lot more appeal than what I think he actually does have, because we saw that in the 18 Senate race, and which, I think all of us were agreeing that well, I don't know. I was the one looking at the polls pretty close, and you guys were just talking a bunch of shit the whole time. But I was saying the polls are definitely overestimating O'Rourke, and they're going to continue to do that on the national.
I was the closest to saying that right now.
Dude, you just went right in the middle of us, and you lucked out.
No.
Hey, you know what? You know what we did miss is that we started off saying that Beto is representing Texas and how unfortunate, but the Julian Castro is also from Texas.
He's from San Antonio, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about him? Is he good? I don't know anything about him.
I mean, as far as it goes, there's no such thing as a good Democrat, John.
Says he was on Hillary Clinton's shortlist for vice president. It says here.
Oh, well, it's because he's Hispanic Democrat from Texas. And
right, I don't know about that, dude.
He checks a lot of identity boxes.
Hell yeah, Julian Castro. Julian Castro.
I know, dude. That's a tough fucking sell, dude. It's like I get why people would do that, but is it really happening because he's Hispanic or because maybe he has actual merit?
No, it's because he's Hispanic.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about him. Maybe he's good.
Okay,
I mean, maybe he is good.
Andy, let me take
dude, you saying that almost puts confirms something like that.
You're playing identity politics.
Yeah.
It's like a strange reverse amalgamation of identity politics where you just assume that the only reason someone's popular is because the left is promoting them because of their identity.
Julian Castro is not popular.
No, yeah, I think the only reason I have seen stuff of him, not just heard of him, is because I'm from Texas.
Didn't he have something to do with the Spurs or something like that? I don't know.
No, he wanted to get the soccer team that is now going to be in Austin into San Antonio. The national, or he wanted to build a whole soccer, whatever field and the stadium and all that stuff. It's a lot of spending of government dollars, and there's incentives for doing that. But no, I mean, sure, yeah. I mean, it might sound like I'm being hypocritical, invoking the identity politics to explain my observations, but that's exactly what I'm doing, just explaining my observation through the prism of this intersectional politics. Because that's how I explain why he's on a short list for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. You guys want to hear some of his platform?
Fucking tell me.
So, first of all, he's a former mayor of San Antonio, Harvard Law School. And let's see. Withdraw from Iran, nuclear agreement, against. Federal background checks for firearm sales, for.
That already happens.
Enforce federal marijuana laws to legalize, against.
No, fuck that.
He's against.
Okay, good.
Privatize some or all of Social Security, against. Support higher tariffs on imports from countries like China, against. So that's a pretty party line. Raise minimum wage, for. Increase funding for transportation infrastructure, for. Do you believe the Trump tax plan helps middle class, against. That's patently false. I mean, it definitely gives you a tax break, but
it's against the belief.
If you get into weird macroeconomic discussions, you could probably come up with a reason why it wouldn't be.
Absolutely.
Student loan payments to be reduced based on income by the federal government. It just says other here. I guess you have to read that one. Anyways, there's quite a bit more of these.
Yeah.
This is a cool website. It's called citizenscount.org.
I like to use ballotpedia.com. I don't think it's .org.
Ballotpedia.com.
Yeah.
This really lays out the platform really nicely. It's just one issue after the other. They're kind of categorized.
Is it?
And then you can read more.
Is it is it just transposed from his website?
I don't know.
Because if they're the ones writing it, See, that's why I like Ballotpedia, because Ballotpedia just links you to all these like Wikipedias, their actual website that they're running on, and then like the .govs where you can see the legislation.
Yeah, but if it doesn't put it on the website in the same format with everybody, it makes it really hard to parse.
You lazy.
But I can see what you mean. They could be really kind of misrepresenting him. I guess it's up to him and his campaign to make sure people don't misrepresent him. Really,
Sure. Yeah.
especially I guess big websites. I'm not sure if this is a really important website, but
it
certainly looks nice.
Hey, you guys want to hear a riddle? And so this was the last sentence, or the last little bit of that Ruben Navarrete's op-ed. So, how many Betos does it take to screw in a light bulb? Answer: 1 to hold the bulb, while the entire world revolves around him. This guy's a fucking narcissist if I've ever seen one.
God damn, that was the farthest thing from a riddle.
Yeah, I'm just a little peeved.
Well, if you are good enough at getting attention that you can make it seem that way, then kudos to you. You're a good marketer.
Doesn't make sense to revolve. It would have to rotate.
No, I think it makes sense to revolve, Andy.
Rotate under him.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, wouldn't it be the same thing?
God damn. We've lost him.
If something is revolving around me, I'm trying to put a light bulb into where I screw it in. Why would something revolving around me put the light bulb into the socket?
Bro, Andy, this is why you're not in politics. Because to quote a not great woman,
he's standing on one of the poles, and then the thing there.
You don't need. Oh fuck, I forget it. AOC said something about who cares about the truth when you're morally right.
Oh
you can't be morally. You cannot be morally right without truth.
She's one of those. She's one of those where like even people like my dad who are like super democratic are just like, man, she's a numbskull.
Wasn't he what a flashback, dude? What a guy from last week.
Yeah, my dad.
Damn.
Did we already do what a guy? Who's the guy?
All right, fine. All right, let's take a break. All right, listeners. I know you've all
been
waiting for this. Oh my gosh!
I got the what a guy.
I want to hear Andy's.
I got the what a guy.
That's 2v1, bro. I got the what a guy.
All right, we'll have Andy's what a guy. He's probably gonna be lame, and then we'll have mine too. We'll see what the viewers like. Comment below who had the better what a guy.
What a guy. Philip Arista for making us art.
Yeah.
That's it. What a guy.
What a guy.
What a guy.
I haven't seen the art.
Guy.
Have you
First
seen the
subscriber? What a guy, dude.
Seriously.
Dude, are we just gonna be hanging out what a guy is to subscribers? That's a pretty low bar.
It's Philip, dude.
All right, Philip.
Trying like forever.
All right, Philip, what a guy, but my what a guy is pretty cool too.
Not one per week, bro. We gotta wait next week.
Fuck you, Andy.
Dude, I bet you thought of that so long today.
It wasn't that long, but this guy is, he's a what a guy.
Oh my god!
And the fact that we can't showcase him on this wildly popular podcast is a detriment to him.
All right, let's hear it.
No, I mean now I just feel like
one per week,
dude. What a guy.
Next topic, John. What do you got?
No. I want to say what a guy. Fuck you. All right, what a guy.
Dude, it undermines my what a guy if you say a what a guy.
No, it doesn't. You can have two what a guys.
No. It's one per week, bro. It's a session. It's a little like clip thing.
If a solo subscriber can be a what a guy, I think my guy can be a what a guy.
He can be a what a guy next week, bro.
Oh my gosh. All right, fine, whatever. Fucking Andy. I know who's not what a guy. Andy.
What a man over here.
What a chapete.
What a chapete. What a chapstick. All right.
I'm going to give what a chapete to Beto for his disingenuous campaign announcement.
Yeah, it's fucking retarded.
He should have just been himself, but now.
Oh, that was actually another an area of scrutiny on the progressive left was the fact that his wife was just silent and somber and had nothing to do with the campaign.
Such a ridiculous criticism.
Yeah,
It's not.
that's
No, it's actually. I think it's very warranted. I think she should have been
being
in
silent.
the kitchen whipping up some food. She was just sitting there doing nothing, lazy, and then she wonders why she gets 73 cents. That's too much for the dollar.
not gonna lie though.
73 cents.
She's
Like,
kind of pretty.
Pleasant.
well, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and
Bro, weren't you going for that Congresswoman that first episode?
because we had to.
Bro, you fucking had her already, dude. Just
Yeah.
we just said the topic and you fucking named it, bro.
She had me at universal income. But okay, so Robert Francis sucks, and Philip Reese is the what a guy for the week. In other news, what's going on?
So there's this article, I think it either came out yesterday or today. It was saying, I saw it on Business Insider. It was basically saying that no top economist agrees with the Green New Deal. And it's like, oh, that's pretty interesting. But there are economists who do agree with the Green New Deal.
Can you
So-
summarize in a few sentences what the heck it is, besides something with a
Green
cute
New
name?
Deal? Well, it's two things. One is for turning 100% the U.S. Energy consumption to renewable energy.
Jesus Christ.
Currently, 73% of our energy is not renewable.
Yeah.
So that's a big chunk. And within 10 years, from the estimates, it said it was going to cost about $4.3 trillion, which is a lot of money. And her way of paying for it was it's kind of like what you were talking about last time with the Federal Reserve. It's one, increasing taxes to the rich, and two, taking out from the Federal Reserve.
Quantitative easing. That was
Yeah,
called.
That's
You know, it's
a bit.
you know, it's interesting that well, what she's basically saying is she would run up the debt to pay for it, so not pay for it. But
Yeah.
anyways,
Yeah.
what's interesting is I've always been on this kick, like I guess, like the Federal Reserve is like it's I don't think it's good for our country, but at the same time, I was on this kick that we printed so much money in the past 20 years that we've got to be getting some inflation. Like, it's going to happen. You know, it's a function of the money supply. But I've been reading this book by George Soros, so his most famous book, and he talks a lot about macroeconomics. That's his whole thing. It's what the whole book's about. It's how he analyzes macroeconomics and he uses his knowledge to, like, you know, make the right bets for his hedge fund. So it's interesting, like, the only thing that affects the money supply is not how much money we print. It's like all this other stuff, like, you know, people sending money outside the country, people buying currencies, the way that money is, how much people are leveraged. Because if people borrow more, then there's more actual money in play in the economy. Like, not just like how much you borrow, but like if you borrow money like from other countries too. There's just so many things that could affect the money supply. So, like, I don't know. The thing is, though, that when people talk about spending a lot of stuff like that, they're not really thinking about all that stuff like George Soros is. They just think like it's okay just to increase it, which to some extent it might not be as bad as like a Ron Paul might think it is, or like I think it is generally, because of all this other macroeconomic stuff going on. But the people that are supposed to be thinking about all that is the Federal Reserve, and the problem is, like, these Congress people aren't really thinking about that.
I'm thinking about it.
It's pretty tough stuff to think about.
But
Definitely the AOC is not, you know,
it's
even
a
trying.
weird thing. Well, the second part of the Green New Deal, well, it's kind of like that play of the New Deal, but calling it green, it's like two parts. So one was that renewable energy thing, and the other is putting out a living wage for people, and that's gonna, like,
You mean your universal basic income?
Well, that's already like in state, but like a living wage is like higher than like the
It's raising the federal minimum wage, basically.
Yeah, it's raising the federal minimum wage.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
that's not what universal basic income is, but
Well, no.
Well, is it not?
it's not.
Oh, is that
It
just
is.
like you getting paid?
Yes. You
Yeah,
get
like-
the government for just existing.
For existing, yeah.
For just
But
breathing.
But yeah, and it cited other things of, well, it would be really expensive in like $4.3 trillion. It's almost like the entire year's revenue for taxes. So, which is a lot of money. But I guess putting it into perspective, it's only like a year of revenue. I guess it's still a lot because then everything else would be fucking unfunded. Yeah, and so everything else would be unfunded, so it'd be fucking crazy. But it also talked about the article about Germany, which very much reduced its non-renewable energy to renewable energy, but didn't do it by taxing, but really doing it by subsidies and like incentivizing like companies to turn to renewable energy. But they say that was working really well, and it did work well until like a lot of people started turning to renewable energy. So that means like a lot less money was coming into the government, which was an interesting like thing that's happening there. It's like, oh, okay, well,
less money went to the German government because people were using the renewable energy.
Yeah, wasn't that like subsidies, or it's like a tax for companies who move to renewable energy? So I guess there's less.
Oh, okay. The companies were giving less money to the government.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. It's not like a freebie. You're paying the companies to do it in the form in the form of a tax rebate. But
okay, well,
it's not. It's still spending money.
So to add to the Green News House Resolution 108, to add some more to what Andy was saying. So this is language directly from the House bill. I'm just taking excerpts here that I found on Wikipedia. So guaranteeing a job with a family-sustaining wage, adequate family and medical leave, paid vacations, and retirement security to all people of the United States, and quote, providing all people with the United States with 1, high quality healthcare, 2, affordable, safe, and adequate housing, 3, economic security, and 4, access to clean water, clean air, healthy and affordable food and nature, end quote.
I think the people that find this stuff attractive and listen to this, like, we're going to guarantee you a job and a big fluffy bunny and $1 million each. If you find that attractive, I think you just need to get out of the country. I mean, that's just the weakest thing ever, to want to be totally provided for like a child. God, these people should just leave.
Get out of here.
The real thing is, I don't think people even know that. Like, you just read it off to me. I think that's the first time I ever heard anybody tell me what it is. And frankly, I think most people don't know either.
Well, look at this. Okay, so repairing and upgrading the infrastructure in the United States, including ellipsis, by eliminating pollution and greenhouse gas emissions as much as technologically feasible, end quote.
Yeah.
Building or upgrading to energy efficient, distributed, and smart power grids, and working to ensure affordable access to electricity, which are, well, presumably that electricity is coming from coal plants.
Well, yeah, the article I read also talked about that too, but it also referenced, I think in Michigan, households that were given, I think maybe in just one city or something like that, were given like $4,300 to like update efficiency in their houses.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, it's a lot of money. But if it's just in that city, which would probably cost millions, I mean, imagine the whole country. But I mean, to some extent, our infrastructure is pretty shit. And like fixing something like infrastructure could help us in the long run, spending less money.
It would help. Yeah, it would help you right now.
Yeah. Like, it's expensive right now, and infrastructure, but it's something like it would be more expensive to not fix it.
Okay, look.
You know?
Okay, don't fall into this economic trap of we can save lots of fucking dollars by giving people lots of money for healthcare, because then they will be healthy. Because healthy people are cheaper on the entire healthcare system on a macro scale than having a bunch of unhealthy people who couldn't have afforded the health insurance, which is why they're unhealthy to begin with. No, people are unhealthy because they make poor choices. All right.
Bro, Adrian, if my electric bill goes from $100 to $50, we just save $50.
You what?
Electric bill goes from $100 to $50. That just saved me $50.
Yeah, and it goes that way, you're saying because you upgraded like the wiring or like light bulbs in your house or a furnace or something that's more efficient?
Something, yeah.
Well, the free market has pressures that does that already. People do that already to save money.
Yeah, I mean that's what basically the people that flip houses do.
So
People don't
when,
usually get their wiring changed in their house
so what you're telling me is
without moving out and selling their house.
so having to subsidize, that under the guise of, well, it's cheaper in the long run. I mean, yeah, in theory that sounds all fucking fine and dandy, but to John's point about the cotton candy and shit,
Yeah.
is it practical?
I think you'd have to really separate. I mean, the things that make sense are the things that have neighborhood effects. Like Milton Friedman says,
Yep.
the things where government fits is the things that have neighborhood effects.
Mhm.
Like highways, things that are common. So yeah, it doesn't make sense to replace people's wiring in their house. It's their house, at least, kind of. But
Sure.
yeah, I mean,
Sure, yeah.
and he's right. Like you could do some calculations and figure out like how much it's going to cost to maintain this highway versus over time versus put this new type of concrete in or whatever that's going to last longer.
But Andy, apply that same logic to abortions. It's cheap.
You don't apply that logic.
cheaper. It's cheaper to abort a Down syndrome child than to care for them.
That is so stupid, dude.
You know how much?
No, Adrian, that doesn't even apply, my dude.
There's an equivalency there.
No, it does not, Adrian.
The assertion you're making is this efficient calculus, right? As far as spending government dollars goes, it would be more efficient for us to pay for abortions to kill kids who presumably will have to be wedded to a healthcare system, and it would cost lots of money. Whereas we could just, take all the Downey kids and mow them down for a few rounds cost.
Damn, dog.
Savage.
That's the logical conclusion of that efficiency argument, as far as government's concerned.
I'm just saying there are certain things that libertarians agree government should do, and if we could just focus on those, a little bit government debt might not be too bad, a little moderation, but what's going on with this Green New Deal, according to what you were reading, so it's unfortunate.
Who knows, man? I do think that eventually we are going to have to go to some sort of renewable energy. I don't think it has to be as fast as 10 years.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like all the science on this stuff is really cloudy, and you really have to read. Like, you can't just take people's word for it on the news or from industry experts or everybody, because everybody's got a faction, or politicians. Everybody has a faction, so you can't trust any of it. You have to read it, and that's really tough to understand. Like, how much oil is there left? I guarantee you, like Exxon knows how much oil there is left, but they may not have an interest in releasing that information.
Telling everyone, yeah.
And then there's so many other questions. It's just such a tough thing.
Yeah, but I mean, you also have to think of just like natural advancements of things. Some guy comes out with like hyper efficient like electric engine or something like that like works really well. Then I mean, we'll like slowly transition to that. Won't be anything immediate.
Well, I see that in the average American household frequently. Not even just American households, but apartment, just buildings in general. I remember maybe a little over 10 years ago, being a kid, we didn't have those, those swirly efficient light bulbs that last forever. We still use those light bulbs that burn out every couple months. We switched over, that wasn't the government compelling us. That was just, it makes more sense because it's practically going to save us more money.
Those things don't have neighborhood effects. That's all you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see that even here in the city of Austin, it's fucking blue as can be. Plenty of those progressives in the tighter neighborhoods to deal with the water ban replace their foliage, their grass with gravel, things that could didn't need to take up a lot of water, but still had some appeal to the neighborhood. And that wasn't mandated by the government. I
mean, I'm thinking instead maybe invest that money into like research. Not even like privately, like make a government like labs. They
Yeah, I agree.
research that kind of stuff, man. You know, like but I feel like if we really put our heads together, like of smart people, like we could probably make something happen. It would
Yeah.
be way cheaper than just throwing money out there.
I'm actually, that's where I splinter from my more libertarian economists. I tend to be pretty free market, hands off when it comes to government funded programs. But I think I was talking to you guys about this one time when Russ Roberts interviewed another economist who did extensive research on government funded programs like space programs around different governments around the world, and how the market didn't particularly facilitate, or there weren't market forces that could move quick enough to bring a commercial rocket ship or whatever to get launched out in space to leave the atmosphere or whatever.
Yeah.
And at that rate, since the governments are able to allocate resources quite efficiently, or not allocate, but gather resources quite efficiently, they could allocate them to things like that. And now you have private businesses like SpaceX and stuff that are benefiting from that investment we made 50, 60 years ago.
Dude, to tell you the truth, I kind of don't like that the space program is privatized.
It's not 100% privatized.
It's not 100% privatized. I mean, but
subsidies coming its way.
I don't know. I feel like we would do a lot more with a lot better technology if like we just didn't give away like contracts. I mean, what are we doing right now? We're giving away contracts to SpaceX, to
Virgin,
Virgin,
Boeing, SpaceX, Lockheed, and
Northrop
and Blue Origin. Yeah.
Yeah. And like we're just giving it away, but we're giving it away like these contracts aren't for like really exploration stuff. They're just like to put satellites up or to, give food and water to the space station, like that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't know, what are we in the 60s? We were fucking flying to the moon. Then for a long time, we were on a space shuttle. No private company is even close to building anything near the space shuttle.
Really?
Like anything near. I mean, what are you? They're just throwing up pods, dude. We had a fucking pod. Like we've had a pod with heat shields that have come down to the earth before all these private companies. Oh yeah, we did, dude.
God damn, don't get Andy started on the pods.
Yeah, dude. These pods are fucking landing in the ocean like the fucking Apollo program while we were riding the space shuttle, landing it like a plane and just walking off of it. Like,
you hear that, Congress? Get that shit together.
Yeah, like we haven't like advanced like crazy.
But like, what do you want them to do?
I don't know, exploration stuff. I think would be fun.
Like with humans or with drones.
I think with humans. I mean,
I think my prediction is Andy wants to have NASA build a really fast plane so they can drive all across the United States and hand people their little universal basic income checks.
I think it would be dope if we just put a monkey in one of those pods with a video camera in there and see if it would survive a trip to Mars.
Honestly, I don't think AOC could operate one of those things. Julian Castro.